So in this lecture, we're gonna see how we can create an EFS volume and mount it in the EC2. So let's jump into the AWS console. So I am in the AWS console and you can search EFS over here. So EFS, now it will take you to the EFS management console. All right, now let's create a file system. Give it a name. And the VPC where you want EC2 instance to connect to your file system. So you have to select the VPC where your EC2 instances exist, which will be mounting these file system. So I'll choose the VPC which I have created. So that's the demo VPC, and make sure that you are in the region where your VPC is located. If you are in a different region, so you will not be able to see that VPC. Okay, you can customize over here. So when you do a customize, so you can see the storage class. So whether you want to have a standard storage class or one zone. So standard is your data will be replicated across multiple AZs to provide redundancy, while in one zone it will be located only in a single zone. Automatic backup, if you want to take, I am unselecting it, and the life cycle management of the data. So the EFS intelligent tiering uses lifecycle management to automatically achieve the right price and performance blend for your application by moving your files between standard and standard infrequent access storage classes. So EFS also has standard and standard IA storage classes. So transition into infrequent access tier. So once if the data is not accessed for last 30 days, it will be moved into the infrequent access tier. And transition out of infrequent access tier. So if on first time access, like the data is accessed first time, so it will get out of that infrequent access and then will be stored in the standard access tier. Encryption, enable encryption at data at rest, and throughput mode. So whether you want to have a bursting performance, bursting means it provides you throughput that scales with the amount of storage for workload with basic performance requirement. But if you want to go for enhanced, which is a default setting, so there you can get two options. One is the elastic, which is recommended. So those workloads where you cannot predict the IO, you can go for elastic because it will auto scale the capacity or throughput based on the requirement. So with elastic mode, your throughput scales automatically and you only pay for what you use. But if you know that what throughput your application needs, so then you can go for a provision one where you specify the throughput value. So the elastic is recommended because it will allow AWS to scale the performance based on the input-output requirement. Now network, so the demo VPC, which is custom VPC which we created, I have selected this one because our EC2 instance reside in this VPC. And mount target. So mount target provides an NFS v4 endpoint at which you can mount an EFS file system. So it's created across two availability zone, 1A and 1B in US East, and it will be having this security group attached. All right, now click next. And these are some common policies you can configure if you want. Otherwise you can get the option later as well. When you create this EFS, you can also configure the file system policy using the policy editor. Alright, now create the volume. So it's the file system status is creating, and now it's available. So all those things which we have gone through, so you can see over here file system policy which we discussed, network is the VPC which we targeted, and these are the two availability zone where the data is getting replicated. So you can also replicate your data to another AWS region as well. Alright, if you just do edit over here, so you can see all those settings which we configured during the time of creation. So you have the option to change the setting after you create the EFS. Alright, now our EFS is created, so let's mount this EFS onto the Linux machine. So I have a EC2 instance running Linux OS. Alright, so this is my Linux machine, and I'll SSH into this one. Now first of all, you have to install the EFS util, which is the RPM package, and it will enable this machine to mount that volume. So for installing that EFS util, you have to run this command: sudo yum install -y amazon EFS utils. So it will pull this thing from the GitHub. So I already ran this command and it has installed it. So it's saying nothing to do because that package is already available. Now the next step is to create a directory where you will be mounting that mount point. So I'll create a directory, name EFS. Okay, so the directory is created. Now let's mount that EFS volume. So I'll just go back to the AWS console, and in the EFS you will see over here attach as a button. So just click on that one, and it will give you option whether you want to mount it via DNS name or via the IP address. So you will see that the mount point command, it's showing you the DNS name, and if I choose the IP address, it will show you the IP address that belongs to this volume. So you can use any one of these commands. So let me choose this command, or you can also use the EFS mount helper to mount this volume, but let me use this command. I copied it and pasted it over here. Alright, so it's not working. Let me try the IP address as well. So I'll just cancel it. So when you select the IP address, it will show you the availability zone from where you want to mount it, because each availability zone has a different IP address. So in 1A, the IP address is 1.66, and in 1B, it was 20.72. So let me try to mount it from 1A. Alright, so this is also not working, and eventually it will get timed out after a while, but let's not wait for that. So let me tell you the reason. So there could be the reason wherein it will show you the message that it's timed out because it's not able to reach this IP address or the DNS name. So you have to make sure that your server, if it is connecting using the DNS name, and this is a public DNS name, so it has to have a public connectivity. So your server should be able to get to the internet to able to resolve this name. And second is that there is a security group which is attached to the EFS volume. So if you just check the network, and this is the security group which is attached to this file system. Now let's see what is in this security group. Alright, so this security group is having inbound rule. Let me edit the rule, which says that all traffic, all protocol, all port range, but the source is only this security group. So it's not allowing anything. Nothing is coming inside, so you have to allow a rule where you will create rule for allowing NFS, and the security group from where you should allow this rule is the security group which is attached to the EC2 instance, which is trying to connect to this this file system. So if in the networking, in the security, you can see the security group which is attached to the EC2 instance, so 190F. So either you can use the security group, or you can use the IP address of the EC2 instance, or some CIDR block if you are mounting from multiple VMs, so you better to use the CIDR block. So I'll just go ahead and use the security group. So 190F is the security group, and it will allow NFS traffic from this security group. So whoever it is behind the security group, they can send NFS traffic to this file system. Alright, now save the rules. Okay, now let's go back to the terminal and see if we can mount that mount point. Alright, so the mount point is mounted. You can see it using the df command, and it will show you all the volumes. So this is the mount point, and it is mounted in this directory. So you can just go into that directory and you can use it as it is, as you can use any normal file system. You can create any folder, you can put any file, you can do anything what you want. Alright, so this is how you can mount a EFS volume onto the Linux machine, and the same way you can mount the same EFS volume on the other EC2 instances.